Okay, these are for We the People news. This is part 2. Full disclosure, I'm not an attorney, nor care to be an attorney. If you have any problems within the court system, if you can't handle this on your own, always get an attorney. Not responsible for your deal. This is a learning thing. And for We the People to start standing up for our rights against outside forces is against us. And to understand how to shield us from harm. Okay? Let's proceed forward. This is part 2. Let's go.
And the judge doesn't want to, she's not trying, she's frustrated because those are the only 2 options, and her hands are tied because she can't give you legal advice from the bench. She absolutely cannot. Her judicial code of ethics don't allow it. And so she's dancing around what you're trying to get at because she can't give you that advice.
And neither can I.
Right.
Frankly, if Mr. Foster wasn't here right now, I wouldn't probably even be engaging in this conversation with you at all. Only because
Her ethical
from the
code
state, I
doesn't
can't
allow
give you
it.
legal advice. What I can do is give you the forms and tell you those are the forms that you have to fill out if you wish to enter a guilty plea. What I can inform you though is if you fill those forms out saying you want to enter a guilty plea, you have to voluntarily accept jurisdiction. If you don't want to do that, you can't enter a
If
guilty
you
plea.
don't,
So as of now, you guys are proceeding without jurisdiction.
well, not me, but I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Jurisdiction is presumptive based on the district attorney's information being filed. The district attorney's office has an ethical obligation not to file charges with the court that they don't believe to have jurisdiction. If they do, and it's proven that they do, if they do file a charge without jurisdiction and it's proven that they do, not only would the charge be dismissed, but theoretically the district attorney's office could be punished. So you can challenge it or not. If you say that you want to challenge it or you want the district attorney to prove it, the judge has no choice but to set the matter for trial. It's trial or voluntary plea. Those are the only 2 options.
Can't the issue of jurisdiction be raised at any point in a hearing?
That trial.
Hasn't the
You can have a
Supreme Court
You
said
can have
that
a
though?
pre-trial hearing. You can have a pre-trial hearing, right? Which could be set before your actual trial, where you'd have a hearing in front of the judge and get to challenge certain things. But that can't be handled today.
Well, I attempted. I believe that, well, first off, I haven't been arraigned. So as far as I've been concerned, every hearing that I've had has been an arraignment attempt. They have called some hearings pre-trial whatever's. I don't even know.
Well,
I don't believe in this religion. Okay, so
what?
I don't believe in your guys' religion. So I'm just wondering
Okay.
why
What do you think?
you're dragging me here.
What do you consider to be an arraignment?
Well, that's where I am able to be informed of the cause and nature of the proceedings and then enter a knowing and voluntary plea, correct?
Not necessarily.
You are allowed to be told what the charges are. The district attorney's office does that by giving you a copy of the information, the charging instrument that they filed, which they would have had to have given you at the last hearing, or one of at the first hearing you had, the one that you were given for the court dates.
It's this one. Looks like this.
Yeah, this one here.
Yeah, and that doesn't, like,
You see that?
how do you know, what evidence do you have that these are applicable?
They don't have to give evidence.
That's a matter for trial.
Yeah. So
Right there. They don't have to have evidence. Which again, if they don't have evidence, what is that? You're just automatically guilty. Which enhances what these attorneys been saying. You are guilty before innocent. So no matter what happens in life, you're guilty. You got to prove innocence. This is what I've been saying on a couple of videos ago again. No matter within the legal guidelines, okay? And this is legalese. When people talk about color law, this is exactly what they're talking about. It's color law. It's not lawful, okay? This is a roundabout way of getting rid of your constitutional rights so that way they can do as they wish upon you. All right? Everything evolves around jurisdiction. When they cannot enter jurisdiction, then the courts have no just cause. And again, you're going to have to go through court several times, minimum 3 times. And the attorneys on here specifically said that. All right. The only thing they said that with district attorney either is going to have to do a dismissal if they don't have jurisdiction, or he can get in trouble, right? So the first thing they're doing is covering their butts, right? Because they cannot prove jurisdiction. He has not entered jurisdiction, so the district attorney's butt's on the line. So, and this is not what I'm saying. This is what observation of these attorneys are saying, which I have no factual evidence they're actually attorneys. This is just a video. So this is hearsay. Proceed forward.
How
It
is
gets
that?
into a whole-
That's,
it gets
is
into a-
that not personam jurisdiction?
That's
Or
what the
is
law
that not
says. That's-
subject matter jurisdiction?
No, that is an incorrect application of that term.
So there's different pleading standards in different states and different jurisdictions. Federal court has a different pleading requirement than the state of Oregon does. State of Oregon, all you have to do is put the nature and cause of action. You don't have to list facts specific
So,
when it comes to charges.
so you're telling me that you can proceed without jurisdiction?
I'm telling you they can proceed without presenting evidence.
Okay, and if
See, he's dancing around. Can they proceed without jurisdiction? Well, they can proceed without facts, right? So this whole deal on everything right now is hearsay, and they're accepting hearsay, which a couple of videos ago, I did a reaction on a reaction, right? They don't have to hearsay. They can go by hearsay. Okay, well, that's contradictory against the courts or the Constitution by state and federal. So they cannot make laws that's contradictory against the federal courts of the Constitution or the state courts of the Constitution. And yet, that's what you're doing. When you hear color law, this is exactly what they're talking about, a color law. Laws that contradict the Constitution, since they cannot make laws different from the Constitution of state or federal, then they have no just cause. Unless you volunteer. Unless there is controversy. And since he's wanting to enter a plea, there is no controversy. You know, he's there to settle the matter, but, you know, tell me where you get this authority at before we proceed forward. They already said the judge is dancing around because she does not have authority. At this point, since there is no jurisdiction, he can pretty much say whatever he wants to say, and there is no contempt of court. The only time there's contempt of court of what this guy's going through is color of law. And this is where the threats and all this kind of stuff comes through, right? And because they're doing these threats under the color of law. And since they got this qualified immunity non-existence in law, that they're allowed to overrun us. Because we, the people, keep giving consent. And we let them run over us. So our employees are running amok. Proceed forward.
if it is determined that they have presented or
If they have the evidence in their file.
if they have attempted to, continue to threaten me by forcing me to come here without evidence of jurisdiction, then what is the recourse?
There isn't any because that's not a real thing.
What do you mean that's not real?
Threatening you to come here without providing evidence to the court is not a real thing.
No, that's not what I asked. I said if they are threatening me to come here without there being evidence establishing jurisdiction, then what is my recourse?
To set a hearing to challenge that. And if you're found correct, okay, if you're found to be correct, the court would have to dismiss the charges.
Well, how is the court able to force me to do something if they do not have the authority to do so?
You're getting into the whole political system, and I'm not going to argue with you about it. This is how the.
Well, I'm simply asking a question. I'm not arguing.
Well, I can't get into that with you.
Okay.
So here's the most I can tell you again, because I can't offer you legal.
Exactly. The lawyer cannot explain it because it does not exist. Right? These attorneys, these judges have no authority. So they cannot tell him that they do not have no authority. Even though through a couple of deals, they basically said they don't have any authority. The judge don't have any authority unless you consent. But he kind of danced around it. I'm not going to get into this, and this. Because, well, it's going to be out in the bag. Out of the bag, you know.
Guys, obviously. But what I can tell you is, if you want to enter a guilty plea, this is the paperwork you fill out. Nobody's telling you do or do not have to fill this paperwork out. Here's the paperwork available to you. If you decide you do not wish to enter a guilty plea, that's fine too. Dates have been picked. I'll bring you back the form. So you can enter a guilty plea, or we can have a trial date. The court has selected a trial date. I'll provide you the forms letting you know what the date is, and it's entirely your decision.
But this would be an uninformed guilty plea.
This is entirely your decision. That's the most I can tell you.
Yeah, I'll show you the very last paragraph of the plea petition.
And again, we're bringing up statutes, and
I'm not bringing up a statute.
Well, I see it right here.
No, this paragraph. The very last paragraph says, I'm signing this plea petition and entering this plea voluntarily, intelligently, and knowingly. If you don't feel that's true, the court won't take your plea. And they'll set a trial date so that you can be informed by having the state prove their case. Those are the options.
I don't want a trial, but I want to enter a plea.
There we go again. So this is the only options they have. So all the options they have given him is to enter jurisdiction, right? To enter controversy. It's just, this is the best video I've seen to explain some of this, and really can't get any better. But for the people not knowing, this is the reason why I'm nitpicking it. Here we go.
Really are in a catch-22 because the court's hands are bound.
This is the third time they said a catch-22. They cannot be a catch-22. It is or isn't. The courts don't have it both ways. That is the color of law, and that's against the will of the people.
They can't do anything different. It's governed by the legislature. You're going to have to take it up with the state Congress.
Well, then I don't know why would I have to take it up with them? They're not over me.
Mr. Estabrook, the most I can tell you is those are the forms that the court will require you to fill out. If you do wish to enter a guilty plea, obviously they're there to read at your leisure. You could take them home if you want to. But in the interim, dates have been selected. I'll bring you back a form for the dates.
I don't want dates. I don't want to have to come here.
I understand that. There's many
What
people.
will happen if I don't show up?
You have a warrant put out for your arrest, and if the police pick you up, they'll put you in custody, and you'll be put in jail.
Okay, so what you're telling me is that men in uniform and badges with guns will come and take me and put me in a cage, correct?
In all likelihood, if you do not come to a future court date.
Right. So I'm wondering, how can they do that if there is no jurisdiction to do so?
You'd have to challenge it in court and prove that there's no jurisdiction.
Well, I'm attempting to ensure that this court has jurisdiction in order to force me to come here before I am forced to come here, and I shouldn't have to prove that they don't have jurisdiction. The prosecutor has the burden of proof, and I don't know how they can proceed if there's no evidence of jurisdiction. And quite frankly, I'm a little uncomfortable with these proceedings, okay, because you are licensed by the plaintiff. The judge is paid by the plaintiff.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I'm licensed by the Bar Association.
You're licensed by the state of Oregon, right?
No, I'm licensed by the State Bar Association. We're self-governed. We're not state-governed.
Okay, so you have nothing to do with state of Oregon?
Correct.
Okay.
Mr. Estabrook, we're going to need to step out of the jury room at this point. These are for you, like I said, fill them out if you choose or not if you choose. I mean, read them. Read it. This is what the court will require to enter a guilty plea. In the meantime, I'll get your paperwork, but we need to clear the jury room at this point.
I just don't know why I'm being railroaded. So where am I going?
Just relax.
Or you can stay there and
Exactly. So he'd been railroaded, and they can arrest him for no just cause. Enhances you guilty until proven innocent. Well, I said a couple of times in the video, this is facts that they use threat of violence. Okay? Anytime anyone uses any type of force against you, it takes freedom away. It is violent. Okay? Anyway, this is just for We the People. This one was a little bit longer because I wanted to finish this. I'll do another video on this case right here, but I wanted to do these couple of videos to kind of give you an idea what the judges say. Okay? And again, this is in the middle, so that way you can see it, understand it, and then pay attention to what the judges say, right? They cannot enter a plea, and yet they still do it. All right. These are for We the People.